Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Shepherd's Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have a great guest. His name's Wayne Carmona, producer of Entourage, SEAL Team, Last Ship, Knox Goes Away, and 4 trillion commercials, and a children's book. Welcome, Wayne. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, thanks,
How's it going,
Jefferson.
Wayne?
I'm glad to be here. This is a very exciting opportunity to share some of my experiences.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so let's start it off with tell us a little bit about yourself that people don't already know, and yeah, we'll dive deep.
Okay, great. I stumbled into entertainment and production literally by accident. I had graduated from Art Center College of Design and moved back to New York to work at an advertising agency, and the creative director that I was working with decided to leave the agency and open a production company with a very successful still photographer. And so within a year of my joining the agency, I found myself at a commercial production company, and I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing, what my tasks were. A very funny story. My first day, they said, "Okay, you're a production assistant." I said, "Great. What do you want me to do?" And one of the fellows in charge said, "Look, we're going to be filming in an industrial area in Queens, so tell the bus driver that you want to put this extension ladder on his bus." And I said, "Okay." So I walked up to the bus and said to the bus driver, "So the guys want me to put this ladder on the bus." And he, in a very New York style, he turned to me and he said, "This is a bus. It's not a truck. And how do you think you're going to get it on the bus anyway?" So I looked at him, I looked at the ladder, and we both started laughing. And I stepped off the bus, and my employers were hysterically laughing because, it was, let's say, he's the new guy. And so we loaded up with the crew and our equipment in the bus, which isn't a truck, and went out to Queens to do our filming. And the assistant director said to me, "Hey, we're out." This was actually before there was something called officially craft service, but we did have an urn of coffee. And the first AD said to me, really nice guy, he said, "Can you see if you can find a diner or a restaurant or something to refill this urn with coffee?" And I said, "Sure. What do you want me to use for transportation?" He said, "Well, use the bus."
Take the bus.
I took this 100-cup of coffee urn down the street to the first a diner and walked in and said, "Hey, I'm filming down the street and I need a bunch of coffee." Meanwhile, the everybody in staff at the diner was just doing all they could to make sandwiches as fast as they could, and the owner of the diner said, "Look, I'm too busy. I can't help you." Okay. I got back on the bus, and the bus driver said, "Look, there's another diner down the road. Let's go down there." So the second time I went in, I said, "I got a crew of guys working down the street. Can I get some coffee?" And he said, "Sure, no problem." So by leaving out the word film crew, I was able to get past the opportunity to be thrown out of another restaurant, and we got the coffee, and that was That was one of my first experiences. Another one, part of the same job, we were filming on the second floor of a school where the gymnasium was. It was a basketball court. We finished filming, and the AD said, "Okay, you stay with the crew, and I'm going to head back to the office." And I looked around at all the equipment lying around, and I said, "Okay, I'm not sure what to do, but okay." So the key grip came up to me and said, "So what do you want us to do?" And I said, "Well, I guess we have to wrap everything up." He said, "Okay, we'll do that." And so that was my second experience with, wait, I'm this 20-something-year-old kid telling somebody who's twice my age what to do. All right, so maybe that's how it's done.
Yeah.
There's a sitcom opportunity in all this. Why has there never been a production assistant based role?
Well, there
actually
have been several attempts written by production assistants to tell a story, but it never seemed to get any traction. However, years later, when I was producing and production managing a pilot called Grosse Pointe, which was meant to be a parody of 90210, we did have it was interesting because the cast had three names. They had their official name as who they were in real life, and they had their names as the characters in the show, and then they had their names outside of the show, but within the show, outside of the characters. So we never knew exactly what to call somebody by name, because they had their birth name, they had their out-of-show character name, and they had their in-show character name. So it was very funny. But
that's funny. Who was in that show?
Interestingly enough, literally a PA was cast as a PA, and he ended up being incredibly successful. He actually won an Oscar for one of the projects that he wrote, and I'm trying to remember his name right now. Really, really nice guy, but he started as, okay, you want me to get coffee for somebody?
He was playing the role of you when you started.
Exactly. Many years later.
That's funny. There's a lot of things that happen on set like that. I remember when I first started as a PA, the joke, I think it's a big joke, you'll probably say, yeah, that's common, is where they hand a C-stand or a lighting stand, either one, to the PA and say, go stand up there and hold that. And they'll have the person standing there for like 4 hours. And they're just holding a stand that doesn't need to be held.
It's a workout.
Exactly.
Your shoulder workout, and you get the job done. So.
No, it's literally like opening up a ladder and say, go over there and hold that ladder, but you don't really need to hold that ladder because it stands on its own. It's an ongoing joke, but that's incredible, man. So you started out in commercials, working at an agency, worked your way up to TV pilots. So tell us how that process happened in order to, because you also did films, right? You did Con Air.
So I matriculated through with the production company into probably at one point in my career, 30% of the television commercials on the air I produced. It was
insane.
The the production company was so busy that, like Mission Impossible, I would be working out. There's one instance that stands out where I was filming something in California, and I received a FedEx envelope, and in the envelope was some cash, a set of storyboards, and a set of production meeting notes, and an airplane ticket, where I had to get on a plane and meet the next advertising agency at Fort Bragg, and so I didn't have any. I only had work clothes, so I ran to a store and bought a sport coat and a pair of slacks and a dress shirt, and flew off to Fort Bragg. And it was so funny because the advertising agency people who showed up were wearing T-shirts and, at the time, like safari jackets. I was very much in style then. And I was the only one that looked like I was official, and so the information officer, who was, I think, a colonel, would only speak to me.
Oh, wow.
Because I was properly dressed. And it was a commercial for the Army, so we did that. But yeah, I was the production company was so prolific that I literally was gone 200 days out of the year. Flying from one assignment to the other. One of the instances was that we were supposed to be filming in Venezuela, and so we all flew down to Venezuela. There was a production service company that we were aligned with, and it was a Pepsi commercial, or supposed to be a Pepsi commercial, and on Friday night we got word that the client killed the commercial. So we found out that at the time, you couldn't leave Venezuela without a tax stamp demonstrating that you had earned $1 or however much you earned. And in order to get the tax stamp, you had to stand in line at the government office. So we were sort of captives or guests of Caracas until our production service person could stand in line. And so Monday night, the following Monday night, we were able to leave. But my adventures took me to about 47 states within the United States and approximately 14 countries throughout the world, where you have to fly in and figure out how to get your work done and fly out. Early on, there was a commercial that I was filming in the south of France, and we were filming all day into the night, and we wrapped about 2 o'clock in the morning, and the production service person said, "Okay, everybody wants to get paid now." And I said, "Well, I'm not traveling with any cash." And so one of the crew members came up to me in broken English and said, "Well, we know you're New York Mafia, so if you don't pay us right now, we're going to have to kill you." And I looked at him and I said, "You know what? I don't have the money, so you're going to have to kill me."
They missed because you're still here.
Well, he didn't know what to do with that answer.
That's funny. So
they eventually got paid, but not that night.
Right. Yeah. So you, by that point, you had noticed that you're okay. I'm in love with production. I'm in love with producing things. And are you actively looking for Entourage and these big shows that you're going to end up doing, or like are you consciously saying, I'm ready to do a big show and run a series and produce it for 7 seasons and all of that?
Well, let me answer you. Let me give you a long-winded answer.
Yeah, we love it.
Because
people will love listening.
What I discovered was that I loved problem solving, and realized that it's very easy to say no. It takes no brain power, but it's much more fun to figure out how close to yes you can actually get, and accomplish everything that you have to accomplish. So after many years of working in New York, a friend of mine had asked me to come out to California and work on the movie that you mentioned, Con Air, to be in charge of the second unit. And the director was a first-time feature director, a very successful commercial director named Simon West, and he was working at Propaganda. And one of the other directors who had working at Propaganda had recently had some success with a large movie called The Rock, Michael Bay. And so he told Simon, look, I do all of my second unit work because the second unit directors don't understand the art of filming. They just understand how to get things done. So you should handle the second unit yourself. And but the producers of Con Air at Disney didn't share that point of view. They felt that there should be a formal second unit. And so I was assigned to being in charge of the non-existent unit on Con Air. And we ended up filming everything that Nick Cage wasn't, every scene that Nick Cage wasn't in, the non-existent second unit shot. And so it was, so now I was in California, and I had to reintroduce myself to the industry in California because, everything is about relationships. So a friend of mine was the head of production for Michael Ovitz's new production company, and asked me to oversee a pilot growth point, which was one I was referring to, where the PA actually ended up winning an Oscar years later. And so from there, I was asked to join Entourage, and spent 7 of the 8 seasons of Entourage. And so now my appetite is such that I'd like to be in charge of my own production company and maybe mentor others as to how to get fantastic production value and have a good time doing it, and maybe make a living.
Amazing. Let's rewind back to Entourage just to give people a little bit of a peek behind, because I know obviously we have that production company together, the Shepherds, so you've already realized that. But let's give people a peek into the life of running a show like that, and what happens behind the scenes, because you're talking about, quite frankly, one of the biggest shows in history. And I mean, it was a worldwide phenomenon, and I can only imagine, the fans and the groupies and the people wanting to get close to the stars, and just, can you give us a little peek into that world, Entourage, the world?
Sure. It apparently started out, somebody proposed to Mark Wahlberg and Steve Levinson that they make a reality show out of Mark Wahlberg, and Mark had no interest in having cameras following around while he worked out or played with his kids or what have you. But the germ but that precipitated the germ of an idea or a concept for a show, and so Steve Levinson, who was Mark's manager, spoke to his brother Rob, who went to school with a fellow by the name of Doug Ellen, who was a writer and a stand-up comedian, and they asked him to write a pilot. Well, he ended up writing 100 scripts before HBO embraced it. But HBO had just had Curb Your Enthusiasm beginning, and they thought, well, this will be another Curb Your Enthusiasm. We'll just do it documentary style. Our cast will, tumble out of a van, and the cameras will follow them, and they'll do what they have to do. The only nuance was that neither Mark, Steve, or Doug saw this as a kind of a distorted reality show. They wanted to make it like an independent feature. And so the first line producer found himself caught in a squeeze because he was trying to placate the expectations of HBO and satisfy the script requirements at the same time, and he got incredibly frustrated. And so at the end of the first season, the creative people said, "Can we change producers, because he doesn't seem to understand our vision?" And so I was brought in. And HBO had hired another line producer, but unfortunately that line producer had really sweet guy, but had no experience with a single camera work. He had been an executive at one of the networks, and so he couldn't answer many of the questions that the creative guys were asking about. Can we do this? Can we do that? How do we do this? How do we do that? And after a time, the folks at HBO said, he's not understanding what the creatives want. Do you mind taking over? And I said, no, I'd be happy to. Having, unbeknownst to them, I'd had several years of experience of trying to manage, crisis manage many situations. And so Entourage became this, it was kind of like working on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, because we never knew where we were going, but we had to make sure we stayed on the road as much as we could. And it required a great deal of spontaneity, but at the same time, we were able to get our show accomplished. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, went on to do incredible things with that show. And what are some of the things that you take with you that, I mean, you obviously you deploy that with us, as you're helping lead some of the projects and a lot of the projects we're doing. But on a personal level, what are some of the things that you had to kind of move through, not struggle through, but move through to where you're now out of it and you look back and go, oh, I know what I did to get to where I am? Was it the scope or the speed of production?
I would say, I'm sorry to interrupt. I would say that some of the adventures that you only learn and grow by keeping your head on a swivel. In season 2, which I started, we were supposed to be filming at Sundance, and so I asked Doug at the time, on our way up to Sundance, what are you going to do to top this? And he said, well, I think we'll go to Cannes next. And I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard, that HBO was going to send our team to the south of France. And
during a big festival.
Exactly. And a couple of seasons later, we were in the south of France. I was on the red carpet along with the camera team. We were all dressed in tuxedos, sweating our brains out because it was very humid. And just at the end of one of the Ocean's heist movies, George Clooney and Brad Pitt and Matt Damon leaving the red carpet, our guys pulled up in our limousine and they walked the red carpet, and all of the press had no idea what was going on. They just saw another group of well-dressed people standing in the red carpet and smiling and waving, and we were photographing it. So we heisted the heist movie, and
right.
Had a fantastic time filming on the red carpet at Cannes. Another time, we were at the Staples Center filming U2 for a concert, and they actually did a shout out to one of our characters, which we captured on film, and it was it was quite an accomplishment. So we certainly learned. I certainly learned that if you don't ask, you don't get, and it served me well throughout my experiences. Even when it seems like it's impossible, the impossible becomes possible, and so I've embraced that as I move forward, and I bring it to the shepherds because our appetite is very large, and I think we're going to accomplish everything that we set our minds to.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, we're honored to have you on the team and get to learn from you and learn from your wisdom and everything that you share with us in order to make us better. So, obviously Kenji and I can speak for the rest of the team that you're a brother from another mother.
Yep. I'm eternally grateful to have you with us on this journey.
Yeah. It's fantastic. I mean, you've all put together an amazing creative team, and the stars the limit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hope to have you again back soon. We know where you live and where you work, so even if we have to force you,
we know where.
I think people would. That's right. We know where your desk is. Exactly. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. The Shepherds Podcast. We'll be coming back with more guests and more people with great stories and great experiences that are entertaining and informative. And yeah, as we said, the sky's the limit. So tune in again. Shepherds, we're out.